What's up, everyone? I got a couple questions or comments about a financial breakdown of the 50 card SGC submission that I did. So I won't link it since I don't have too many videos. I have a couple on the 50 card SGC submission and reveal. I don't normally do a line by line item breakdown of the cards. Usually I have a general idea if I know I made money or potentially lost money or if I'm broke even. In this case, I knew I was up a little bit. Um, it's a little bit harder to decipher since I had so many O-Pee-Chee cards that are hard to comp out and grade. But I did go ahead and put this together, and I'll go ahead and go over how I broke this down. So I have each card here that that was included in this submission, what I paid, including taxes, grading fees. So the grading fees I divided per card end up being about $865, including shipping and tax. The cost ended up being a little bit more than $15, which is kind of strange, including tax, but it is what it is. The new estimated value based on 130 point or card ladder. I do need to note the market has been pretty hot for some of the Grail type cards or marquee players like Michael Jordan, Hank Aaron. So I do think this is a bit inflated. And then total profit or loss, I put in green for positive or red and negative. So one example, this 2005 Michael Jordan Ultimate Collection, I paid $180 with tax. I'm taking out the grading fee, which was $17.30, and you can see that's for each card. And based on it being an SGC 9, I put an approximate value of $225. So this I ended up profiting about $28, and I calculated that by taking my new value and subtracting what I paid and the grading fee. If you look down here, I have a lot of green. You can see I lost money on that Ted Williams. Again, this Hank Aaron is a bit subjective. It had decent eye appeal, although that big crease. Again, the market's hot, and I was estimating I could potentially sell it for $17.50, maybe a little bit less, who knows. But I had to put some number down to make that guesstimate. So if you look further down, you'll notice I have a lot of red in the O-Pee-Chee. It's hard to find comps. It's hard to find comparables. There were a lot of higher graded PSA O-Pee-Chees, but not a lot from like the lower grade that I was able to get. Funny enough, I plan on keeping a lot of the cards in the red, just to add to my collection. There's a few cards here and there that I definitely lost quite a bit, but it's a gamble. I think one thing with the submission, if you noticed, I only had one card that was authentic altered, which was that Mike Schmidt O-Pee-Chee rookie. And there was clearly writing on that. So I'm pretty meticulous with measuring all the cards out, as well as taking a black light to see if any cards are potentially marked. So I'm definitely not 100% spot on, but I feel I have a decent eye for catching any potential marks or miscut or any altered cards. So I won't go over each card line by line, but you can see I paid a total of $6,845. Total grading fee was $865. My new estimated value about $9,500, and this is my total profits, which ended up being $1,782. The cost here is just the total cost with grading, which is my total of what I paid plus the grading fees. All right, so I did break this down by if I were to sell on eBay. So if I were to sell these on eBay, my total profits on eBay would be this number here. I would profit $17.82, but you have to pay 86. I multiplied that by 0.86 because you have to pay about 13 to 14% in eBay fees. And I also took into account if you were to pay taxes at the end of the year, the 1099 form. Don't quote me on the number here, but if I were to pay taxes at the end of the year, I just did a quick multiply by 0.65. And I'm estimating that if I saved up all that money and profit and paid taxes, I'd be up about $1,000. Again, don't quote me on it, but that's just how I broke it down. And if I were to sell at card shows, so let's say I took all these cards, set up at 4 shows. So what I did, you can see with this formula here, my total profit's 1782. I multiplied that by 0.9 because you have to offer discounts to people. No one's gonna really buy them at 100% if they really like your comp and the card. But I try not to go lower than 90%, sometimes 75%. It really just matters. You can see I subtracted 300 here. The subtraction of 300 from the profit is the table fees. So if I set up at 4 shows, and let's just say each show's 75, I'm gonna pay about $300 in table fees. And again, you may or may not sell all the cards in 4 shows, so it's very subjective. And it shows I prefer cash. If I do take Venmo, PayPal, or whatnot, then I do report that at the end of the year. But let's just say you didn't take any electronic method and you got all cash. You'd actually pocket $1,303, which is much better than if you were to report taxes at the end of the year selling on eBay, which is, you can see,